Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to our January 15th meeting. My name is John Fox, the president of the board, and at this time, we'd like roll call.
Trustee Hodges.
Present.
Trustee Flores.
Present.
Trustee Young.
Present.
Vice President Amboy.
Present.
President Fox.
Present.
Trustee Morales.
Present.
And Trustee Simmons.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. During our closed session, our report out, we discussed our superintendent's evaluation. And we also have some student discipline to take care of. Trustees, do I have a motion for one of them? Vice President Amboy.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommended action for S2025RA01, S2025-RA02, S2025-RA03, S2025RA04.
Thank you, Vice President Amboy. Trustee Young, do we hear a second? Thank you. And for the public, these are readmits, which we're very excited. These students have gone through a process and now are going to rejoin our district. With that, can we please have a roll call?
Trustee Hodges.
Present.
Trustee Flores.
Vote or roll call, I'm sorry.
This is a vote on the motion on the floor to readmit students.
And Trustee Young.
Aye.
Vice President Amboy.
Aye.
And President Fox.
Aye.
And we have 4, 0, and 1 abstained. Motion passes.
That's exciting for readmits. Now with that, do I hear a motion for an expulsion of F2024-STP03? Vice President Amboy.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommended action for F2024-STP03.
Trustee Young,
Second.
roll call, please.
Trustee Hodges.
Aye.
Trustee Flores.
Same.
Trustee Young.
Aye.
Vice President Amboy.
Aye.
President Fox.
Aye.
And the motion passes 4, 0, and 1 abstain.
And with that now, do I hear a motion for recommendation for expulsion for F2024-APH04? Vice President Amboy.
I'd like to make a motion to approve F2024-APH04.
We hear a second. Trustee Hodges.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Hodges.
Aye.
Trustee Flores.
Same.
Trustee Young.
Aye.
Vice President Amboy.
Aye.
And President Fox.
Aye.
And the motion passes 4, 0, and 1 abstain.
With that, that concludes our closed item reporting out. And now I'd like to hear, do we have a motion for adoption of the board agenda? Trustee Flores.
Make a motion to adopt the board agenda.
Trustee Young.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Hodges?
Aye.
Trustee Flores?
Aye.
Trustee Young?
Aye.
Vice President Amboy?
Aye.
President Fox?
Aye.
Trustee Morales?
Aye.
And Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. At this time, we're at agenda item 6, board presentations. And we're starting with Mare Island.
Yes, we have a presentation from Mare Island Health and Fitness. If you all could come up to the podium, we're very excited to hear from you.
Sorry, I'm at that age where I need the readers. So, okay. Good evening, Board. President Fox, Vice President Amboy, Trustee Dr. Young, Trustee Flores, Trustee Hodges, Morales, and Simmons. We are so excited to share with you tonight the incredible things happening at Mare Island Health and Fitness Academy. I am Dr. Glasgow, proud Mustang principal. This is Miss Roundtree, our dedicated and tenacious teacher leader, and we would just like to take you through how what we are doing at school right now aligns with our strategic plan, our portrait of a graduate, and a little example of our dance pilot that was part of our VAPA integration.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Yes, sorry.
You.
At Mare Island Health and Fitness, we strive to take full advantage, full advantage of the many resources that have been afforded to us from the district. Our academic support provider, our mental health support provider, work diligently to create individualized plans for students with academic and mental health needs. Our resource specialists work tirelessly to meet the needs of their IEP students, which is approximately 10% of our student population. They work to create plans that help them feel success in every area of their education. We utilize resources such as the Hey Tutors, Mindful Life Project, Club Stride, and even our local Vallejo Costco works alongside of us to provide during the day interventions as well as after school opportunities for our students. Our staff is constantly evaluating the needs of our students to provide the most effective interventions possible because we truly believe that every student has the right to learn in the best way that supports them.
Safety is our #1 priority at Mare Island. In order for us to keep our students safe, it takes the entire team, from custodial staff on up. We have an amazing site safety supervisor, Mr. Michael, who goes above and beyond to make sure our campus is able to function accordingly and that learning can take place. We have dynamic educators who show up every day and truly take the time to know their students, not only as scholars, but as individuals. We have worked hard to provide behavior interventions that allow students to not only be held accountable for their actions, but become critical thinkers regarding how their choices impact themselves and others. Last year at this time, Mare Island had suspended 10 individual students for multiple infractions. As of today, we have suspended 5 students, which is higher than what we were hoping, but still a significant decrease.
Our teachers are the epitome of vibrant, and our dedicated professionals always seeking to improve their craft. As they learned how to adapt to a brand new principal with new ideas, new values, and sometimes some quirky ways, they are helping raise the bar and meeting new expectations in both accountability and professionalism. They actively seek out feedback and coaching opportunities from myself and Ms. Roundtree, and have aligned themselves with our school's priorities that are in direct alignment with the district priorities. When you visit a Mare Island classroom, you can feel the energy that students bring to their learning as a direct result of the careful planning of our teachers and staff. Teachers continue to focus on integrating structured student talk opportunities in every lesson, along with increasing the depth of knowledge levels to create profound and meaningful learning in every classroom. We believe the data when it says that student engagement has a direct correlation with student attendance, and we are proud to say that as of this point this year, we have currently decreased our chronic absenteeism by 5% from last year, with active and intentional plans moving forward to decrease it even more by June.
Our school takes pride in making sure collaboration amongst teachers, staff, parents, and students are at the forefront of our decision-making. We have collaborated with our community by hosting events to bring resources to our families, as we believe that our school is a pillar of support for our students and families. Some things that we have hosted last semester were our canned food drive, where we collected 581 cans, our toy drive, where we collected 36 toys, our Winter Wonderland Showcase, our Harvest Festival, and our Back to School Resource Fair, to name a few. We also have an amazing partnership with our local Costco here in Vallejo, who provided us with over 500 backpacks and has a volunteer-based reading intervention program for second graders who need support. None of these things could be done without the support of our campus community and the collective thinking that we are more than a school, but a center of resources whose goal is to always support our students and families. My favorite, the portrait of a graduate. This is near and dear to my heart, as I am the portrait of a graduate from VCUSD. I had an amazing educational experience from kindergarten to 12th grade while attending VCSD schools. Vallejo High School graduate, class of 2009. I believe my success was because of the positive relationships that were built with my teachers and their display of care for me. My teachers believed in me and pushed me when I needed it, because they saw greatness in me when I didn't see it in myself. Research shows that the relationships amongst teachers and students directly affect how students view school and impacts their educational experience. Here at Mare Island, we are equipping our students with the necessary tools and skills needed to succeed in the real world. Tools such as being critical thinkers, contributing to the community, collaborating skillfully, adapting to change, and communicating effectively. One instructional focus that we have been implementing in our classrooms is structured student talk. These strategies allow our students the opportunities to communicate effectively and work together, because as we all know, collaboration is a critical part of life. Through structured student talk and other instructional focuses we are implementing, we have faith that once our students leave VCUSD, they will be successful in all their future endeavors, as we, as educators, play a huge role in making that happen.
In August, Mr. James Orlando came into my office and said, "I'm bringing a dance pilot to Mare Island." I was so excited to hear this. I mean, what new principal wouldn't want to integrate a health and fitness academy with a dance pilot? And not to mention, it's an opportunity that maybe some of these kids would never get otherwise. But a little bit of hesitancy on my part, because I'm admittedly type A. But through Mr. Orlando's compassion and grace and guidance, he got me to where I could see his vision. So starting in October, instructors came and met with grades K through 6 once a week. They worked on movement, flexibility, and choreography. It was clear that a lot of these students were being forced outside of their comfort zone in the best way possible. But for others, it gave them a chance to shine, displaying their natural abilities. About the same time in September, our community partner, Club Stride, located on the island right across the street, came and said, "How can we meet the need of Mare Island students after school? We want to put together a program that gets them excited and really engaged." The product of that meeting was a brand new student media team. They had all of the equipment, they provided all of the resources and training, they put together their team. These kids have learned how to be exceptional photographers, interviewers, recorders. They are actively working on more projects. But their first test run was Harvest Festival. They took pictures, they interviewed people out on the blacktop to where the interview was audible for the entire community. But their big project that they were working toward was their very first production of our dance showcase, which we did at Winter Wonderland. Winter Wonderland turned into an event where the students got to display their newfound dance skills. I brought in a local recording artist to do a concert for our students, and we had our very own Vallejo Grinch, Miss Lisa Gutierrez, come through for the event as well to take pictures with the students. It was a wonderful time of community building, and now you will get to see the very first production of our brand new student media team, Mike on Mike Media, with plans for future productions in the works.
Michael Magnelia. Hi, my name is Shalay Spears. I'm with Michael Magnelia.
This event has been in the making for about the last 4 months. We started thinking in September what we wanted to do to showcase the arts program that was brought here, which was bringing in our dance instructors. And so we decided that we wanted to put on a holiday showcase, and everything just bloomed from there into what you're seeing tonight.
How do you feel right now? I'm honestly kind of scared. And I'm here doing good.
For a first production ever, I was extremely proud of them, and now we have a basis to move forward and grow from in their future productions as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present tonight as we continue to provide the best possible education for our VCUSD students at Mare Island Health and Fitness.
Trustees, do you have any comments or questions? Dr. Young?
Thank you so much for sharing that. It was so refreshing to see that the festival that you had.
It was an incredible opportunity. We had such a great turnout.
You know that the kids are engaged, and the families that came to participate. That's a lot of families over there.
It is.
Okay, and just to have the kids involved is important. Very good presentation. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing that.
Trustee Simmons?
Good evening. Ooh. I wanted to just say, I went to Mare Island before I went to Jesse Bethel High School. That was my middle school. I love Mare Island so much. I'm glad to see all the new and fun programs that you guys have for the kids. Now to the questions. My first one is kind of 3 questions. What is Hey Tutor? And how has it been helping the students? And do you think it is helping them be more engaged with learning?
I'm going to let my TL take that since she supervises them.
All right, thank you for the question. Keep me on my toes. Hey Tutor is an intervention program. We are supporting our students regarding their literacy. So it's helping them be able to become great readers, to support them in their future learning abilities.
And my second question is, one, I'm glad that you guys have lowered suspensions. You guys said it was 5, and you said like it was kind of high, but it's refreshing to hear that students are being suspended less. My question is, what procedures do you have in place to stay proactive and not reactive, especially with suspensions?
So specifically in the middle school, because that's where most of the suspensions occur. At the elementary, you really don't see it as often. With the middle schoolers, I have brought in a reentry program. So once a student is suspended, they have to meet with me and their parent. We come up with a plan of support. They have to identify staff and faculty adults on campus that they feel comfortable talking to if they ever feel tempted or triggered again to make those choices. In addition, we have been working with our students on the BASE program that Gina Kelly, our lead mental health support provider, has brought to us. Based on responses to the program, we can actually create student support groups for the students who have like-minded areas of concern. And so if drugs or smoking is a concern amongst 5 students, then our mental health support provider can create a group to meet with students and go through the curriculum of BASE to help them fight those urges. Glad to say that that's not a struggle on our campus right now. What we have seen is that students are learning how to express themselves in healthier ways, and sometimes they forget how to do that, and that has been the result of our behavior challenges. But we are actively working with them. Once they are suspended, I have frequent check-ins with them. I meet with them at least once every 2 weeks to make sure that they're following the line and doing what they need to do, making sure that they're following their support plan as I provide the support to them.
Oh, I think all of those are good. My last question is, how has the re-entry program been working for Mare Island?
From suspension, the reentry from suspension?
Yes, ma'am.
It's been wonderful. It shows parents that we truly care about their child as an individual and not just letting them come back ready to make the same mistake over again. I've received feedback from parents that they are appreciative that I take the time to meet with them as a family and communicate with them as a family. It's documented. I have it both on paper and in Aries when a student is re-entered through the meeting with notes about how the family responded, what questions they had, and what supports we plan to give them.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Flores.
Well, thank you for your presentation, and comments might be a little biased, as I've had 2 kids be part of or a graduate of Mare Island. But, just to echo on Trustee Simmons, the 5% decrease in chronic absenteeism, that's great to hear. Is there any kind of data or procedures or strategy that you guys were able to identify that you could maybe share with us and the other schools as a whole to help with that?
About decreasing the absenteeism?
Yeah, with the decrease in that.
So I meet regularly with our child welfare liaison, who works greatly with attendance. We are constantly trying to brainstorm new ideas to get the kids excited about being in school. In December, she had a blackout bingo card that she created. So each student got a card with all of the dates in December, and if they got to cross out the date that they were present, if they got a blackout for December, they were there every single day. They were entered into a raffle. She had bought them, like the grand prize was a pair of movie tickets with snacks, and like it came presented in the popcorn bucket. The kids got very excited about that. We're trying to create incentives that get them excited, and sometimes that's hard, getting a kindergartner excited at the same thing an 8th grader would get excited about. So we're trying to split it between middle school and elementary, having winners at each stage. Coming up for what Dr. Kelly usually does for March Madness amongst the schools in the district, we're going to do a classroom March Madness competition. and make sure that there's great prizes available to the classrooms that exceed our attendance expectations. We're also working on, what else did we do? Oh, we actually stole an idea from Stephen Manor with the popcorn buckets for perfect attendance in classrooms. Each day that a classroom has perfect attendance, they get a bucket of popcorn posted to their wall. And that has really gotten classes motivated too. The fourth graders are going nuts. They can't wait to earn their party. And then we had something else. I'm sorry, I just lost it. Something else in the works for the future coming up surrounding CASP testing, attendance for CASP testing.
And just real quick, I know that the presentation was limited and you can only put so much in, but I also want to highlight and let the community know about some of the other events you've had over this last year. You had the trunk or treat, which was a real fun activity. The upcoming Valentine's Day dance that you're going to be putting on for the middle schoolers. And I was going to save this for my report, but the really awesome basketball team that Mare Island has fielded, I got to watch them play a couple games this past Saturday, so great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us all your successes and your journey, and we can't wait to hear more. Have a good evening. Thank you. Now we're on to agenda item 6B, our Naval Lodge number 87 donation.
Good evening. A while back, I was contacted by our dear friend and retiree and current employee and all of those things. He subs for us. And he says, Mitch. I said, yeah, Jerry. He says, we got more money. I said, Jerry, bring it down. So Jerry told us that the lodge graciously went out and just on their own raised more money for our schools. We know on an annual basis they bring a check, 500 or so on an annual basis for Public Schools Week. Now they bring forward a $3,200 check just because they love public schools and they love our district. So if I may bring up Jerry Bettman and his colleague. There's Jerry.
Mitch.
And you know
Of course I do.
Heather Tapasio.
My principal.
That's right.
Told me a lot of the things I know. Good evening, Dr. Young. I know her from the 6th grade. She had control over those 6th graders, I can tell you. She was the boss of them. No, I hope she's got control over you, too. Superintendent Aurelio, members of the board, brothers and sisters in the audience. I'm Jerry Bettman. I'm a substitute teacher. They call me the highway substitute because if there's any stoppage of the traffic, I pass out dittos. You should see the windows roll up as I come walking up. At any rate, this here is Delphin Dominguez, and he's the chairman. We call him Worshipful Master, but he's the master. He's about like the superintendent there. He serves at the pleasure of a board, just like this. So it's a democratic organization, and we try to do good things and have a good time. And I'm a chaplain of this group. So he outranks me. He said, I get to talk. So this is Delphin Dominguez, Worshipful Master of our lodge, and he will present the check.
Good evening, everybody. I am Delphin Dominguez. I am the current master of Naval Lodge number 87. And Naval Masonry, we have some charitable activities. We support the school district. We also support baseball games. This year we donated something like $1,000 for Masons for Meats. And this time, we donated 50% of our fundraising from our golf tournament. We have annual golf tournament among lodges in the Bay Area, area, and we have something like $6,400 raised, and we are donating this money for your program, and this is something like 3,208 and some cents.
So we're gonna give that to superintendent. Here, why don't you get the center? Oh, if you play golf, no. You'd like to come to any of our affairs,
I might have to.
you're welcome to it.
Thank you.
Oh, and just for your edification, any niche or several niches or whatever activity you think that needs that little amount, it's your discretion.
Greatly appreciative. Dr. Young would like to speak.
Thank you. I would like to say to you, thank you for your ongoing support of VCUSD. I can sit here and say proudly that I was in the district for 40 years plus, and each year I could see someone come and give us a donation. So thank you so much for continuing to have the faith in VCUSD. It is totally appreciated by me when I was on the site, or now that I'm sitting on the board, it is duly appreciated, sacrifice and dedication to. Thank you.
And can I add something? I am an immigrant parent from the Philippines, and I brought here 4 sons, and they are all graduates of Vallejo High School. 2 of my sons graduated in 2008 and 2010. They are both salutatorian. And these 2 also are Lee Godwin Award in Solano Middle School, the 2 of them. And now all of my sons they graduated from UC Davis. One of them is BS Bio, one of them is BS in Chemistry, and one of them is computer engineer. And because of Vallejo School District, they have gained a good education. And thank you very much for your service.
Thank you. All right, now we're on agenda item C, California Collaborative for Education Excellence update.
So good evening, trustees. We have, is it 3 presenters joining us? We have Jenny Wright, Mike Hansen, and our county superintendent, Lizette Estrella Henderson.
Welcome back, partners.
Do you want me to pull a chair?
No, I'm
Are
okay.
you sure?
I am.
Okay.
I'm in the home stretch.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jenny Wright. I'm a senior advisor with CCEE. We've been here before. This is our first update for this school year. It's our first of 2. We'll be back in the spring towards the end of the year to give our second report of the year. I know that we have a new board member, so I'll provide a short bit of context for our partnership and the relationship that we've had with Vallejo City through CCE and Solano County Office of Education. That partnership began in 2018-19 when Dr. Adam Clark was superintendent, and through a joint referral, they requested the support of CCEE. And we have been here ever since in that capacity alongside the county to provide additional support to Vallejo City in making improvements for students and their continuous improvement efforts. So here tonight to just share an update since we were here last May and give a progress report and take any questions that you all might have along the way. So I want to start with just a little bit of context setting. Since our last update in May, we have intensified our focus utilizing what we call the 3 C's of CCEE: collaboration, clarity, and the courage to give and receive feedback. Specifically, our work with VCUSD has focused on creating the workplace where giving and receiving feedback is expected. These exchanges provide greater clarity and understanding around the work to be done. Feedback supporting clarity leads to greater collaboration amongst VCUSD staff and, importantly, between VCUSD and external agencies. We're encouraged by this integrated work. And in this context, I'll just start with 3 positive, significant updates that we have since our last time. The first theme is district senior leadership changes since last spring, a shift into an integrated educational services, and the middle management community of practice is now inclusive of both instructional and operational directors. So our first one, district senior leadership changes. So we did have 3 senior leadership changes since the last time we were here in May. We had the retirement of Superintendent Spalding. We had the retirement of Assistant Superintendent Sherry Summers and the retirement of Assistant Superintendent Mike Santos. New superintendent started on July 1. Since his start, there has been a shift in the engagement of the work. He has been attending all of our essential meetings as well as regularly walking classrooms with Heather Tapasio, new Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. We are seeing really great alignment in that work. In that vein, the shift into an integrated educational services that's now inclusive of both student services and the instructional side. Heather Tapasio is now leading and overseeing all facets of the instructional program. She's been focused on the work since mid-February of 24 and is accelerating the difficult and necessary work. Her work is being integrated and accelerated to support the improvement efforts. CCEE and SCO meet monthly for 3 hours with this team and superintendent. This year, we've included more voices in that room, which means more voices, more experiences, more perspectives, and capacity building. We now have 6 more people in the room than we had before, and this includes 2 leaders who have been promoted from within. Lastly, we continue our work within that next layer in the system, the directors. We meet with this group 90 minutes monthly. We alternate between meeting virtually and in person. And again, in this group, we're really focusing on communication, building 2-way communication within and amongst the divisions and within and among the sites. Like education services, there is more robust engagement in this group, and it too has expanded from only 11 leaders in instruction last year to 17 leaders representing all divisions this year. Of note, this was a direct request from the directors in the room that we expand to include HR, business services, and operations as well. So I want to highlight then more specifically some work that is really going well. From our vantage point and SCO, you'll see a lot of duplication between what we're seeing as what's working well. So first and foremost, as I highlighted the leadership changes in engagement, our new district leadership, including Superintendent Aurelio, has shown increased engagement in improvement efforts by attending essential meetings and regularly conducting classroom walkthroughs. Heather Tapasio is overseeing all aspects of the instructional program, and our monthly meetings have been very successful, really focusing in on some very difficult and challenging work. And it's really leading to high levels of engagement from every member of the team, which is leading us into some really necessary work that has been out there. And this team has been willing to roll up their sleeves and take on this very challenging work. And then again, the expanded community of practice, where they are also engaging in very difficult and courageous conversations about communication. and having to really work with each other and building norms around communication and holding each other accountable to the norms that they present. It's really led to some deep conversations and this building of community amongst them where they're able to share concerns that are happening, and really all with the emphasis of being in service of schools and how they can all work together to better support the school sites so that they can do the tough job of educating students. As we say overall, these changes reflect a more integrated, collaborative approach to district improvement with increased engagement at all levels of leadership.
Good evening, Superintendent Aurelio, President Fox, Vice President Amboy, trustees, and it's a pleasure to meet you, Trustee Hughes, for the first time. I'm Lisette Estrella Henderson, the Solano County Superintendent of Schools, and it is an honor and a privilege, and frankly, a great joy to be here this time. If you recall the last time that I attended the board meeting to, in collaboration with CCEE, provide an update. A lot of what we focused on was frankly the challenges and what continued to be challenges time and time again. And Trustee Young, I was moved by your words when you said faith in VCUSD. That is what gives me great joy and a pleasure to focus on today from the county superintendent's office and the team that works so collaboratively and in a very collegial and aligned way with CCEE. So I wrote those words down because that, from my perspective, is certainly the mindset with which the work is continuing. So thank you for saying those words. They are actually, don't seem profound, but really are, given the pivotal place in which VCUSD finds itself today from a year ago. So you just hit it right on. As Jenny mentioned, a lot of this is, I'm not going to repeat myself because it's really about focused alignment. And increased accountability has led to higher functioning teams, as Jenny mentioned. And this is due very much in part to a shift in the leadership, starting from your superintendent to Heather and others on the team who have come on as senior leaders and really moving this work forward. If you recall, one of the issues that we addressed last time was the multiple professional learning plans, a plan for this, a plan for that, which had been implemented, which had not been implemented. Were there multiple plans? Was there one plan? Frankly, none of that matters if it's not being done. And one of the things that does give me great hope and faith in VCUSD is the notion that the professional learning plan is being implemented and monitored, which leads to greater accountability for the outcomes. Another area that has seen growth and is working very well is the use of data and data-driven dialogue, data-driven discussions, looking at the cycle of inquiry, the planning, studying, doing, and then going back and taking actions. That is continuous, and you've got to have good data in order to be able to do that in an effective manner. So those are some of the things. Again, there's a lot going on. Jenny mentioned quite a few things, but just to highlight how they are totally aligned from each of our organizations' perspective, and what really does lead to that renewed and continued faith in VCUSD moving in the right direction.
So Vallejo City does continue to face an array of complex challenges that impact student learning, educator effectiveness, and overall educational outcomes. Understanding these multifaceted challenges is crucial for improving educational quality and delivering on the 4 pillars of VCUSD's strategic plan. 3 challenges of note are chronic absenteeism, strengthening special education through earlier intervention, and aligning of the secondary schools. You will again, between our agency and SCO, see a lot of similarities in what we're seeing as challenges. So I'll start with special education. A current special education population of approximately 17% highlights the need for earlier intervention at the classroom level to reduce the number of newly eligible students in special education. Additionally, the need for greater clarity and collaboration between general education and special education is critical for developing stronger coherence across the instructional program so that students are provided the resources and supports they need to increase academic outcomes. In addition, the alignment of secondary schools with all new leadership at the secondary schools, from moving to central office, VPs being promoted to principals, it is integral to create a stronger alignment between and within the secondary schools and from the elementary into secondary. While the work within the professional learning plan is a start to that alignment work, there is much work to be done at the school site level to ensure more effective instruction and greater academic outcomes for students across each school site.
The chronic absenteeism tracking and monitoring systems, as the principal of Mare Island Physical Fitness Academy mentioned, is one of the challenges, and they were able to express some of the ways that they are seeing success in reducing chronic absenteeism. One of the things that is critically important for site administrators to be able to do that is to have a good system by which they are monitoring chronic absenteeism and tracking chronic absenteeism so that they can have greater impact. I would say that this continues to be a challenge. However, I will also say that Superintendent Aurelio has also made it a priority and a focus area. And we know that if kids are not in school, kids won't learn. If kids are not in school, in many cases, they won't receive the critically needed support services that they can benefit from. Intensive intervention, support systems, special education services, after-school programs, social support services. All of those things cannot be provided for students if they're not in the seats. And so this continues to be an area of focus and a priority. Another area that Jenny mentioned was new site leadership. And I believe that we tracked 8 new site leaders, if I recall correctly, individuals who are new to their positions at the site. That's not a small number. However, what I will say is that the school district has now made a concerted effort with a very specific and strategic plan that is providing very critical support to those site administrators. If we want for them to be able to succeed, we need to have a plan for how we're going to provide them that ongoing support. And yes, it's a challenge to have that many new individuals new to their positions at the site level. But I will also say that the district is also working towards having a systemic plan in place to support those individuals. And that, frankly, is new. And I know will provide good results as long as we can keep it moving. And you also continue to identify individuals who can step into leadership positions, but you got to have a plan in place in order to be able to do that. The other thing is around alignment of all of the multiple plans. You can't have the single plan for student achievement at a school site not be aligned with your pillars at the district level. The local control accountability plan has had challenges in being aligned with all of these multiple plans, multiple metrics, lots of different actions going in a million different directions. And while you may have started out that way, it is a challenge to continue to put efforts into aligning all of those so that your site leadership can continue to move the efforts forward at the site level, which then go up to the district level and having district level success. So as Jenny mentioned, some of these things are repeated, but that's actually a good thing because it shows that the work that we are doing as agencies of support are in fact aligned, and that's critically important in order for you to be able to continue on your path to success.
So the last point I want to highlight is the impact of the work. There are three outcomes or results of note that I would like to spotlight for you. The 3 C's, CASP results, and the NWEA from the fall. The Ed Services team, as we talked about the 3 C's, clarity, collaboration, and the courage to give and receive feedback, have been practicing amongst each other, exercising the courage to give and receive feedback. This is providing greater clarity among the team around the work that needs to be done and what is needed from each person on the team, which is leading to greater collaboration across Ed Services and between Ed Services and their school sites to provide the support needed to increase effective instruction. The CAS results on in ELA specifically remained relatively flat from the previous year. The district remains around 26% of students meeting or exceeding standard in ELA with an overall distance from standard of approximately 75 points below standard. However, of note, the fall NWEA benchmark result shows promise. We have seen over the years a very direct correlation between your NWEA results and CASP results. And so it's wonderful to highlight that this past fall, there were 5.4% more students meeting or exceeding in ELA than in fall of 2023, an increase from 25.2 projected proficiency to 30.6% projected proficiency. There is strong correlation, again, between these, and so we're very much looking forward to the next administration that I believe is taking place right now. So we'll have those results in a couple weeks and feel quite confident that that growth is going to continue, and we're very much looking forward to seeing those results and then seeing those results translate onto this spring's CASP as well.
In terms of special education, as Jenny mentioned, one of the things that I put as a priority is actually funding an effort to really look at the structures in special education at the request of the district. Help us look at what are the root causes analysis of this 17%? What is going on that is leading to this high percentage? And I said, you know what? We're going to make this a priority and we'll put the resources behind it. Because your priority is putting your resources in so many other things, this is something that we specifically can do. So we have been working with the Ed Services team and the Special Education Department and are putting resources behind having School Services of California come in and do an internal look at asking good questions about what are our structures and systems in place. And that will help to create not only greater efficiencies, but will help get down to a root cause analysis of what is contributing to that 17%. Another area that is based on the results of what we've been investing in this work is the continued work with improvement science and a focus on deepening the understanding of the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle, the PDSA cycle, and also looking at root cause analysis of the challenges. It's also about having those honest conversations. And as Jenny mentioned, having the courage to give and receive that feedback, and frankly, not being afraid of taking a deep dig into what those root causes are and looking deeply at what we can, in fact, continue to focus on and focus on the systems of change. Because, yes, we can have one school make great strides. We can have one grade level make great strides. But if we're not moving the entire system, then you're not going to see the ultimate results that you want. And certainly, I know that that has been Superintendent Aurelio's priority, is that, you saw the presentation from Mare Island. If you're focused on music, you can't have the instruments playing at different times and at different levels, right? You have to have them all playing in concert. The same with the dance production that you saw. It's about all moving in the same direction so that you have this beautiful musical productions that you saw. And that is a priority. Certainly from the County Office of Education and state receivership, it's about having systems in place that will continue to move you forward for the long haul and long-term sustainability, and it's systems at all levels. Jenny and I have touched on not only special education, but student services when you talk about chronic absenteeism, ed services, when you talk about student achievement. It's about all of the systems moving in the same direction in order to impact student achievement for the long haul. And I will end with faith in VCUSD.
So we'll take any questions that you all might have.
Yes, I'll begin since I'll wait and see what questions may come up. For the 17% for the special ed, I know through my years, the 6 years I've been, it's always been very stressful that the federal government never funds is it 30% that they're supposed to contribute? And now with hanging over that maybe it's going to move or be dismantled or move to health and service, I don't know. Can you elaborate a little more about helping with that 17% or making sure that the funding helps for, especially, you talked about special ed, the early, trying to meet them early. Just, I'd like to hear a little more about that.
Focus on prevention and early intervention.
We talked a little bit about that. Are you referring to the work that the county is funding? I think they're talking about
Yes.
the work with school services.
Certainly, absolutely. The intent is really to look internally at how the system can be managed efficiently and in a way that is addressing all of the varied student needs. And certainly looking at prevention and early intervention. And that's where looking at whether are the students not in school and it's contributing to overrepresentation in special education. So it's about student services, it's about ed services, it's about good first instruction, and that's where the professional learning plan comes in and interventions in place. So it's looking at all areas that contribute to special education and looking at where efficiencies can be exercised and where you can then focus your resources where it's really needed. So the result of that study, it's an internal study, it's not an external study, it's literally just a coach coming in and saying, sitting down and let's look at things differently from an outside perspective, and could you be doing things differently? The result of that will help to inform what you continue doing in all areas of your system.
That will affect the funding, where you're putting your money.
Absolutely. Could certainly affect the funding and where you prioritize. Sure.
Mr. Young.
Thank you so much for that report. I was holding my breath because I was on the very beginning of this journey, and I'm glad that we're on the right tracks and we're heading. down a new yellow brick road. I just got through seeing Wicked, so I'm just all.
She's gonna sing.
My question.
She's gonna sing.
My question is, on what are the challenges, high turnover, new site, and leadership, we said we had new, and you said something about critical, support. What does that look like coming from the county office?
Well, for the site administrators, it's more about professional development and
Oh.
professional learning from the County Office of Education. But what the district has done, and they started to do this actually this year, was really strategically map out the kinds of support that the district would provide to the site administrators and coaching and professional learning to help support them on their journey and their new administrative leadership program.
So the track starts here.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? Michael Hanson, why didn't you come up and talk to us or say hi? Oh, that's all we get tonight? That's all we get. Well, thank you again to our partners at the county and at the state. We all are in this together. And appreciate your feedback. And again, those honest dialogues, that's the only way you will be able to change or to think about. It's something at the county level where the County Board of School Board Association, we're talking about reading. So we saw them, a lot of people saw the right to read. We're talking about the science of reading. And there's another, just trying to think about how we've taught reading for so long, and is that working, or do we need to look at brain research and be teaching in other ways? So, so many things to look at and try to change our thinking. How do we go forward and not make, anyways. Dr. Young, is your light back on?
I just want to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you that I see sitting out here in the audience. From county office, NCCE, you have supported us. Whether it was a critical thinking that you took us on, a critical journey mentally, to make sure that we were aware that there is light at the end of the rainbow. Maybe at that particular time, 4 years ago, when I was sitting here for the first time, or 2 years, I don't know, anyway, it wasn't very comfortable to hear some of the things, but it was so true. And that you stuck with us with perseverance, knowing that we could make a difference. This board and the community and the children that we serve were very important to us. That's why we're on the board. The directions that we were given, hopefully you see that we stayed steadfast on the track that was given to us. And we continue to reach out and look for your assistance and guidance. Don't wait till it's too late. Make sure you have an open communication to tell us that it's going in the wrong direction. We need to correct it, because if you don't do that, it's too late. And we will end up in the same situation that we were in before. But thank you for all the guidance that you have done.
Vice President Amboy?
When I started my journey 2 years ago, and hearing the feedback that from CCEE as well as along with the county, it was very hard to swallow. And I knew it took a lot of feeling internally of actually rationalizing everything that's been going on. It's so different to see it from a parental perception, but when you're looking at it as a whole, of the direction that we need to, how we need to move forward. And I appreciate all the feedback that you were giving us. And I'm really glad to see that you see that the effort the district is trying to move forward so we can move to the next step. There's a lot of challenges ahead of us, and we all understand that, everyone on this board. we know there's a lot of hard work, and we know we have to make very, very difficult decisions ahead of us in the next upcoming months. And these are decisions that we don't want to make. But we know it's important that with your support, that we are going to be moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. You know, you mentioned making hard decisions, and I will say, as the board, you have shown the courage to make those hard decisions thus far, and there is more work to do. As Jenny mentioned, yes, there continue to be challenges. You are making hard decisions. You're going to have more hard decisions to make in the future that will impact the school district for the long term. But as the governing board, you have shown the courage that you need in order to make those hard decisions, and you haven't shied away from those. You have new leadership on board. You have folks at the central office who are new to their positions. You have new site folks. They're depending on you to make the right decisions that will continue to lead the district for the long term. It's not only about the short term. It's about the long term, not only educationally, long-term student results, because the children of this community deserve that, but it's also about the fiscal realities that all of our school districts are facing, and in particular, Vallejo City Unified School District. And so I can certainly speak to that from the county superintendent perspective in terms of fiscal oversight. That continues to remain a priority, and top of everything that Jenny and I just described. So I commend you for those decisions. Continue to be courageous in your work, courageous in your conversations, and know that you're doing it on behalf of the longevity of this school district and the longevity of the health of the entire community.
Thank you so much for your presentation, for being here, and the honest communication, dialogue, which we need to continue. Have a good evening.
Thank you. We'll see you
Don't
again
be
in the spring.
strangers.
We'll see you
You'll
in the
see
spring.
us again.
Okay. And next time, Mr. Hanson, we'll hear from you. With that, it takes us to agenda item 7, forum. Anything from interagencies? Okay. VEA. Kevin Steele.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, trustees, superintendent, and our student trustees. Welcome. I'm Kevin Steele. I'm the president of the Vallejo Education Association. Our winter, as was previously mentioned, the winter assessments for elementary have already begun. Teachers are planning and prepping for the upcoming NWEA, and also we have our site set on the CASP a few months following that. At our recent district PD centered around student discipline in California schools. Since COVID, there's been a number of laws that have been changed and updated, and so we got a really good training on what that entails. And on Tuesday, the 21st, then we're going to find out what the governor's budget proposal was going to mean to all of us. So
We have someone from CSEA.
Good evening, President Fox, Vice President Amboy, Trustee Dr. Young, Trustee Flores, Trustee Hodges, Trustee Simmons, and Trustee Morales, Superintendent Aurelio, staff and community. First off, Happy New Year. It's a new year, so we're super excited. My name is Giovanni Espedia, and I'm part of CSCA Vallejo Chapter 199E Board. I hold the position of Chapter Secretary. I'm also an HR technician here at VCUSD. We would like to report that we have a new e-board this year. So as chapter president, we have Kathleen Tejan, first vice president Andrew Tejan, second vice president Nikki Arnold, treasurer Francisco Garcia, secretary myself, communications officer Sherry Sponsler, political action coordinator Lisbeth C., parliamentarian Kayla Dueñas, chief union steward Nina Martinez, and we have 4 member at-larges who are Lizette Williams, Ashley Steffens, Sean Howard, and Colette Lai. We also would like to report that Rebecca Ryan and Emilia Le Esperance, who are paraeducators, will be attending the CSEA's 28th Annual Paraeducator Conference, which will be held March 11th through the 13th at the Ontario Convention Center. And we're just excited for this new year to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. We have someone from VSMA. Reports from district advisory committees? None?
No.
Do we have cards from the community?
We do. For this item, we have 3. We will start with Hazel Wilson, Dwight Monroe Jr., and Matthew Aguilar in that order. So, Ms. Wilson, you are up first.
Good evening, Superintendent Aurelio, President Fox, and members of the board. On behalf of the Vallejo chapter of NAACP, we invite you to participate in the I Have a Dream March and program celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It will be held Monday, January 20th, 9:00 p.m., beginning at Kentucky and Mare Island Way, and proceeding on to the Vallejo Room for the program. We will be celebrating our students to know what their dreams are. We know that Dr. King's dream has not yet been fully fulfilled, but we will keep marching, keep speaking, and being present. We know that his wife, today is Dr. King's actual birthday, January 15th. We know that his wife, Coretta Scott King, is also celebrating, that her sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, today is 117 years old, the first sorority founded for African American women, not social, but focused on education and the improvement and the dream. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Monroe.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dwight Monroe Jr., and welcome Superintendent Aurelio and President Fox and Vice President Amboy and all of the trustees. Thank you guys for being here and doing the work. It's very valued. I'm here to address the community. I've been getting a lot of calls and emails regarding parents just feeling ignored, quite honestly. So I wrote a little something here. Parents in Vallejo are deeply concerned about safety and communication issues within the Vallejo Unified School District. Over the past months, I've received countless calls and messages from parents who feel their concerns are being ignored, even in serious situations where the children have been harmed or threatened at school. This lack of responsiveness is unacceptable and demands immediate action. First, parents need clear pathways to voice their concerns, starting with school principals, then moving to the superintendent, and if necessary, the school board. If these avenues continue to fail, parents must have access to external resources like law enforcement or the California Department of Education. No parent should feel silenced when their child's safety is at stake. Second, the school district must prioritize better communication and transparency. We need regular town hall meetings for parents to voice their concerns directly to district leaders. Parent advisory councils should be established to ensure families have a seat at the table in the decision-making, and there must be a user-friendly system for reporting issues and tracking resolutions, so parents feel heard and see action. Finally, safety must be a top priority. Staff need better training in de-escalation and conflict resolution, and the district must clearly communicate its safety policies to parents and students. Partnerships with community organizations, law enforcement, and mental health services are essential to address these gaps. As a community leader, I commit to being part of the solution. I will use my platform to bring parents and district leadership together, demand accountability, and advocate for change. Advocate for changes our families deserve. Together, we can create a safer and more responsive school system for every child. And ending in that, I really want to change the perception of the Vallejo School District. I just had a customer who just picked up their kid from El Cerrito, and they live right across the street from a school. I can't remember what school it was. It was on Las Palmas. But it was just, it's concerning to me that parents are going to these lengths to, escape Vallejo schools. So we really got to change that mindset and change that page where we're the school, we're getting these kids from American Canyon, we're getting these kids from Benicia, because Vallejo is the best place to educate your kids. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Mr. Aguilar.
How you guys doing today? Real quick, my daughter was stabbed at Hogan like last school year, and nothing was done. My son was kicked in the mouth at Vallejo Charter. By the way, I talked to Super Aurelio, and man, y'all hard to get a hold of. Like, honestly. And the response I got, what y'all was doing, let me correct myself if I'm wrong. We provide them lunch and breakfast. What more do you want? That wasn't the whole topic, but that was said. My child said they want safety. It's hard to get safety. When the teachers in class say, when the whole situation is escalating, there's only a couple more days left of school, I ain't got time for this. That's really frustrating, you know what I'm saying? It's alarming to me how, if I don't quote the numbers, but it's there though. You guys sold like Beverly Hills Elementary for like $3-point-something million. So where the money coming? Y'all getting money from GVRD. Where's the fluctuation coming? Because apparently there ain't no bus system to. Oh, I'm real quick to talk about the state. People ain't going to school because they don't feel safe. So that's why y'all ain't getting paid. Because if I understand correctly, if the kids' butts ain't in the seat, y'all don't get a check. Y'all don't get a check. Y'all don't get no kind of money. So real quick, hot topic, food for thought. Let's stop worrying about the money. Let's start worrying about these kids' safety. Because I've been born here, raised here, all the shenanigans, right? Why do we have more schools or less schools than we do auto mall plazas? Why is there more Toyotas, whatever kind of car dealerships than there are middle schools? That's alarming. Yet again, y'all probably like, oh, well, neither here nor there, because it's not your kid. It's really not. But when you have a kid coming to you like, I'm going to bring a weapon to defend myself, because ain't nothing getting done. Miss Glasser was there. She'll remember at Hogan, because Mr. Spalding dodged and docked the whole school year. I wouldn't even got a meeting with him unless I pressed the issue, come on here. And if you guys probably want more people coming to these little meetings, get off Mare Island. Because it's not accessible. There's no buses come here or nothing. Like I said, y'all probably don't live in Vallejo. Y'all probably not from Vallejo. But Vallejo is nice, highly potential. And I just don't see no progress. I see nothing. So, have a nice day. See you tomorrow, okay? Alrighty then.
No, this is for item 8C.
8C?
Yeah, on consent. So there is one public comment for consent.
Okay. Do we have a motion for consent? Oh, wait. Student reports, I'm sorry. We're starting with Vallejo High School or Jesse Bethel? Okay, Jesse Bethel.
Ooh, sorry guys. Hello and good evening. I would first like to start off by saying I hope we all had a great winter break. We just came back from it, and I think we really needed that break. Was that my mic? Schools have started NWEA testing this week, and as a result, we have been on block schedule for this whole week. Students have been working really hard on their test, and to congratulate them, I have been working with the leadership at my school and some clubs to hold some type of event on Friday to encourage them to keep working hard on their tests, but also to give them a little treat because testing is hard and it's boring. Chess Club specifically, which I am the secretary of, is planning on having snacks and friendly chess games during the lunch of Friday. We want to encourage people to finish their tests and do their best. I want to mention, even though most of you already know, but we're followed by a 4-day weekend after this week, so I hope students will take time to study. Recently, I think this Friday, I joined a program called Future Leadership Vallejo, which helps students make initiatives and programs to help Vallejo move forward. It's a really good program. During the Future Leadership Vallejo meeting, I met lots of students from around the school district, like from SPSV, some Vallejo High students, MIT, et cetera, and I was able to talk to them about how they like their schools and what issues they may have. This is getting me excited because, as we said in our last student report, me and Trustee Morales plan to do school visits, so I can't wait to get a physical sense of how Vallejo students are doing. During Future Leadership Vallejo, I met a woman named Gina Schneider. She presented and did activities with us at Future Leadership Vallejo. Her activities were regarding understanding yourself and others as a personality, meaning we did like personality tests, but she is a psychologist and she worked with lots of colleges, and her goal was to help us learn how to work with other people in the future. And so I'm currently in contact with her to have her come to like Vallejo schools individually, especially with seniors and juniors, to help them understand themselves and others so that they can prepare to be leaders for the future and navigate their new life. Finally, I should mention that Jesse Bethel has made a new rule for coming to school. If a student comes to school after 8:30, the entrance on Redwood Street will be closed, and you'll have to enter on Ascot Parkway. You also have to leave on Ascot Parkway. Redwood Street the entrance will be closed. I asked a few students of how they felt about this, and majority are slightly opposed. I'm not too worried about this though, because when we introduced metal detectors, students were also opposed, but as we carried on with the metal detectors, we were fine. We're fine with it now. We feel more safer. Students are just, with the closing of the road, they just feel like it's inconvenient, but I think that the street change will hopefully encourage students to get to school earlier if they can. This is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morales.
Good evening, everyone. First, I just want to say I hope everyone had a great winter and Happy New Year. And today, I just wanted to let all of Vallejo High School, Jesse Bethel, and John Finney students know that the City of Vallejo Youth Delegation Program is going to be accepting letters in the next week to have a chance to go on a trip to Washington, D.C. It's more to engage in leadership, being social, communicating skills, and new learning opportunities. And if anyone needs information on how to apply, please contact Miss Victoria Grace Barksdale at Vallejo City website. Next, I would like to say that we had our second Superintendent Student Advisory Council meeting last week with a few more students than the first one. And some of the students are from our high schools, Vallejo High School, Jesse Bethel, and John Finney, and some of our middle schools such as Hogan, some of our charter schools as well. And this meeting was more about the VCUSD strategic plans and our 4 pillars, the equitable opportunities, the second one, safe and supportive learning environment, the third one, a vibrant culture of teaching, and the fourth one was the community-centered education. In this activity, we got the opportunity to express how we feel about these pillars and if they are being met in the schools. After we went over our expressions and we spoke about the certain comments in that pillar, this meeting again was an opportunity to express the students' voices, and I am glad I am part of the council, and I want the community to know that all students are making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you for your reports. Now we're on action item 8, consent items. Our motion?
There was a comment on?
I do have one comment for item 8C. Want to do a motion first, and then we can.
Trustee Flores?
Motion to accept items 8A through J.
Vice President Amboy?
I second.
Roll call?
Like, public comment first or vote first? How do you want?
Trustee Hodges?
Aye.
Trustee Flores?
Aye.
Trustee Young?
Aye.
Vice President Amboy?
Aye.
President Fox?
Aye.
Trustee Morales?
Aye.
And Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. Steele?
Good evening again. On behalf of our teachers, VEA asked several times to be included in the selecting the furniture to replace our worn-out furniture. Our participation in this process was disappointing, as we could only choose between limited options, not to help the district make an informed decision about what would work best given the variety of classroom sizes and layouts. Our certificated staff are ready and willing to help with decisions that directly affect our students.
Thank you. Now on information item 9, 9A, second quarterly report regarding Williams settlement.
Assistant Superintendent Topacio, I believe she's presenting the quarterly report.
Good evening, President Fox, Vice President Amboy, Trustee Dr. Young, Trustee Flores, Trustee Hodges, Trustee Morales, and Trustee Simmons, and Superintendent Aurelio. Just presenting our second quarterly report of the Williams uniform complaint. We have a report to submit that there was one facilities conditions complaint for Mare Island Fitness Academy that is just currently unresolved, but their staff is working to resolve it as it came right before winter break. But it falls within the window of the quarterly report. And if there's any questions. No? That's it.
Thank you.
9B, Measure S Bond Series.
We have Assistant Superintendent Romeo and a guest. I don't know your name, but you'll be presenting this item.
The person to my left is Keith Weaver, Government Financial Services Joint Powers Authority, JPA. I was just thinking it's 2025 and it's been 8 years since we began the bond journey once again. And we were so grateful to our community in authorizing a bond at 70%. And it's hard to believe, too, that we've sold 3 of now 4 series of approximately $52 million apiece. And we've implemented bond improvements at almost every site, but for a handful still to be completed. And for that reason, we now need to prepare and sell the next series of bonds, Series 2025. I think it's in the amount of $51 million. And so we know we go to Lori Ranieri at GFS and Keith Weaver at GFS and Sirikwan Weaver at GFS to facilitate this process for us. And you know the initiation of this process is where Keith comes before you and gives us the best information he's got. So I introduce Keith Weaver.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's a really nice milestone because, as Mitch mentioned, it's our final round of Measure S bonds that we're working on implementing. So I just have a brief update for you tonight, reviewing Measure S, talking about our bond financial plan, and then discussing some process steps for how we move forward. So as Mitch pointed out, really nice success. This was a bond measure from 2018, almost 70% support from our community, which was fantastic. And the measure authorized $194 million of bond to help improve our facilities at our schools. And these bonds would be repaid with a property tax of 6 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. So just by way of background, the bond property tax is paid by property taxes, and every property owner within the school district pays their share of the property tax based on their assessed value of their own property. And so assessed value is a metric that we track quite closely because it matters for property taxes. And this is a chart showing the growth of property assessed value in the school district all the way back to 1997-98. And you can see there's been some ups and downs, but recently the growth has been quite strong and quite steady. This last year's growth rate came in at over 4%, and that's quite meaningful because we only budgeted for 3% growth. And so to have actual growth come in at 4% when we only budgeted for 3% is really nice for the Measure S program. Another metric that we track closely is interest rates. And this is a chart showing a benchmark interest rate index and where this index was at various times when we've sold bonds under Measure S in the past. And the last time that we sold bonds was in 2023. The interest rate was about 3.5%. It has gone up since then, currently a little over 4% interest rate. However, last time we budgeted for interest rates to go up. And we budgeted for interest rates to go up to 4.8%. And the fact that it's only 4% now means that we're within budget. And so that's another good result out of Measure S, that we are very conservative in budgeting for interest cost. And so the good news with property assessed values, the good news with interest rates, means that we're very much on track to issue our final round of bonds for Measure S. It is $51 million. We're also completing this Measure S program 2 years earlier than had been planned at the time of the election. And so that's really nice because it gets us the funding sooner, it gets the facilities projects happening more quickly, and we avoid some inflation in construction costs. So $51 million after costs, we're estimating $49.9 million into the facilities program. And then because things have been going so well, from a property tax perspective, our taxpayers are also expected to pay lower taxes than what we had estimated. Again, it was $60 per 100,000 of assessed valuation was the estimate at the time of the election. This last year, the property tax was only $48. We're anticipating it'll be around $48 going forward, and that's obviously well below the $60 that was estimated, so a nice reduction in the property tax levy compared to what had been estimated at the time of the election. So good news for our taxpayers as well. And then lastly, we do have a state limitation that we track. We have what's called a bonding capacity limitation. We need to ensure that the bonds the district issues fall within that limitation. And so this chart is showing that yes, even with this latest round of Measure S, we'll be within that limitation and that state requirement will be met. So in terms of implementation process steps, there's two ways to go about issuing bonds. One is a competitive process where we go out to bid and ask various banks and lenders to loan us the funds. The other is a negotiated process where we select a firm up front and then negotiate terms with them. Our recommendation is a competitive process. It is based on published best practices. In addition, you can see the table here, the district has had a lot of success with competitive bidding in the past. We've received many bids for each round of bonds. We've had different winning banks. We've had a lot of savings between bids ranging from hundreds of thousands to over $1 million. So the district has a great track record, and we're recommending the same approach this time as well. So tonight it's just information, and then what we'd ask for at the February 5th board meeting is your consideration to approve a resolution that would authorize us to move forward with the bonds, as well as approving the financing documents. With your approval on February 19th, we'll have that bid process, we'll select the winning bidder, we'll lock in interest rates, and then on March 5th, that would be closing. The funds would be received by the district to put to work toward our facilities projects. And then in addition, at that board meeting, I plan to be back and share with you how the results turned out. So thank you, and happy to take any questions.
Trustee Flores?
Got a quick question.
Yes.
With the passage, I believe it was Proposition 2, did
Yes.
this measure qualify for the matching funds?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Proposition 2 was a state school facilities program funding that was approved. That was very successful. Are we eligible to receive state funding, Mitch? Yes. And Mitch is saying yes. So what this, the state funding program requires a local school district to provide local match.
Yeah.
And this round of funding will help provide local funds for us to provide that match, and then we'll then qualify for reimbursement from the state to receive additional funding to help with our facilities program.
Yeah, I know, because my understanding is it's a first come, first served, so I'm just wondering if we've lined up and applying or what that process is.
Yes, yeah, we're working very closely with King and Associates to support us in these state matching funds. And you'll be pleased to know that we've been fully approved and granted $11.5 million. The first two checks of $1.8 million and 9 something are, I think, in the bank. So we just received those. In a meeting with King and Associates the other day, the number surprised me. We are eligible in out years. Now, this is many years through the funding cycles, but our eligibility remains the same. It's about $94 million, which is what we were counting on, state matching funds. And I think in Measure A, we received $60 million. So the $94 million now far surpasses that by 50%. So we're grateful.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Action items.
No action items this evening.
Report, Superintendent.
Sure. So good evening, President Fox, Vice President Amboy, trustees Dr. Young, Flores, Hodges, Simmons, and Morales, and staff and community. I appreciate the opportunity to provide this evening's superintendent's report, which will focus on some key insights from the California School Boards Association's webinar on the 2025 Governor's Budget Proposal and the important work ahead for our district. So I was able to listen in, actually while I was sitting at the airport, listening to this webinar specifically about the upcoming release of the governor's budget, which we're all anticipating, right, Mr. Steele? We're anticipating that budget. So what we've learned so far, and of course this is very preliminary, but the governor's budget does include a full funding of the statutory cost of living, the COLA. It's looking like 2.43%, which is accounting for a $2.5 billion increase in the local control funding formula. This reflects a significant victory for CSBA's ongoing advocacy efforts. So the proposal also includes 2.43% COLA for special education funding, which we all know is a very critical need for our district and many others. There's increased Prop 98 funding. This is all preliminary, but projected at $322.2 billion with a $7.5 billion increase in Prop 98 funding over the next 3 years. There is concerns that regarding this $1.6 billion will be withheld during the current year of Prop 98 guarantee, so we'll wait and see how that plays out. There is some key investments being proposed, for some investments in literacy programs, teacher recruitment, and universal transitional TK implementation. There was talk about trying to get to the realization of a 10-to-1 ratio. We're still sitting at 12-to-1, but that's in the works. There's expanded career pathways and enhancements to the Universal Schools Meals program coming down. So some good information that was being presented. We do have an upcoming workshop for budget reductions and school consolidation that a number of staff members and some trustees will be attending. I believe that's next week, if I'm correct. Tuesday the 21st.
6 o'clock, Jesse Bethel.
No.
Oh, I'm thinking the town hall, sorry.
Yeah, I'll get that. I'll get there. This is the budget meeting that we're going to be attending around the governor's proposed budget. So with that said, we are looking forward. Our team, our governance team and our staff is undertaking some difficult but necessary process of articulating we have upcoming budget reductions for the 2025-26 school year. These decisions include the potential for school closures and consolidations. So those steps are essential to ensure long-term fiscal solvency. Also, we want to improve school programs by consolidating resources, and we want to secure a sustainable future for Vallejo students. So we do recognize that the challenges we face, these decisions, need to be presented to our community, and we are committed to a transparent and inclusive process. So these efforts are not just about balancing the budget, but strengthening the quality of education. We do have a town hall coming up next week. That is on Tuesday, January 21st. We do invite the community to attend. We also invite staff to attend. That will be held at Jesse Bethel Little Theater at 6 o'clock. So on Tuesday, January 21st. That is followed up the next day. We will have a board study session to further discuss school closures and consolidation. And that's Wednesday, the 22nd at 5 p.m. These meetings will provide opportunities for community input and thoughtful dialogue as we navigate these important decisions. On another note, I want to clarify information published in a recent Vallejo Sun article regarding deductions taken from the certificated employees and retirees in the December pay warrant. So on December 20th, 2024, there was a total of $45,448.56 that was deducted from paychecks, and that impacted 343 CalSTRS members. That included some retirees and managers as well that are STRS members. Just to clarify some of the numbers that were put out there, the average employees contributed $134.62. So this deduction was not an overpayment, but a secondary reimbursement given to our employees of their STRS payments. The original disbursement was in 2020, and this was a second one that was done in 2023. So that was the error, that there was a disbursement done a second time. The range of deductions for individuals ranged from 51 cents and as high as $815. The district acknowledges that the timing of these deductions was not ideal, and that we will do better in the future when these things occur.
Was there an average?
The average was $134.62. Lastly, just as we wrap this up, the proposed state budget underscores the importance of strategic investments in our education. We've heard some public comments this evening. We've heard from our partners, CCEE. We've heard from the county office, just the importance of our alignment. But we've also heard the impact it has when our students don't attend school. And we want to ensure that our students do come to school, because that will lessen the impact in some of the tough decisions we have to make in the future to make sure we're meeting the needs of all our students. With that, I will see all of you soon. Thank you.
I have a question. With these devastating fires in Southern California and schools and anyways, was there any discussion with the budget how that could potentially maybe affect the governor's budget or the state
I
budget?
think it is in flux at the moment, but we are going to be hearing some more information about that. I believe there will be some level of impact. I don't know how it impacts all of us, but there is going to be an emphasis in supporting our schools in LA.
And then I would like to thank you for clarifying I think it was the Vallejo Sun that misrepresented that it seemed like there was $800 some taken out of most people's check before Christmas. I thought that was very misrepresenting journalism. So I'm glad you clarified what the numbers truly were, and that it was from the retirement, from Cal STR's retirement that teachers pay into, that was overpaid and then was needed to come back. It was not from what we pay from our payroll.
Correct.
So hopefully in journalism, they can try to get the numbers correct and not put us in a negative spotlight of being Grinches before Christmas in such a light. Even though the timing for the state retirement, some
We
of that's
agree
out of our
that
hands.
it was not great timing. We agree.
Yes. Thank you for the clarification. With that, let's see where we are now for trustees. Who would like to start for the report? Hodges, we'll start on the end.
I'd just like to report that I'm currently in a process of scheduling some time with Superintendent Aurelio to learn more about him. Can't hear me? Well, how about now? And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Trustee Flores?
Not really a whole lot to report. I was invited to speak and attend the inauguration of County Supervisor Cassandra James. I attended that, gave about a 2-minute speech on the importance of the responsibilities that we as a community, we as the systems have to our community, and the community has to our systems, and how it seems like some of the current results of this past elections has shown that a lot of the status quo just isn't working for people anymore. And it's great to hear that with the CCEE report, that culture that was here at the district, to an extent, seems to be changing and shifting, and hopefully that in turn will energize that faith that we want the community to have in our schools, in our teachers, in our administration. And again, I invite the public to reach out to me for anything. C. Flores at VCUSD. Call the office. I don't want to flood Rhonda or Rochelle with too many phone calls, but please call, leave a message. I'll get back to you. And I also wanted to make sure that at the county level, they know that we expect what we expect of them from us, the city of Vallejo, and us, the district. The other event I attended that I spoke a little bit about briefly was the Extended Learning Program has a basketball league going, and my son plays on the team for Mare Island, and we played. Who did we play? Played Highland, I believe, and Vallejo Charter. And those were two of the most exciting basketball games I've seen in a long time. You know, I mean, if you wanted to see some amazing technical prowess and dribbling and, you know, just high level play, that wasn't the place to be. But if you wanted to see a bunch of young athletes pouring their heart into every shot, every dribble, every moment of that game, then that was the place to be, you know. And unfortunately, we lost both games by 3, but it was amazing because at one point we were down like, I think it was like 17-3, and to come back and lose by 3. So, you know, I look forward to the remaining games, remaining seasons. I thank all the staff that is helping these kids get this program going, and I look forward to many more games and a lot more of this in the future. Thank you.
Trustee Young?
I also attended the I guess it was swearing in. Yeah, the swearing in for Supervisor Cassandra James, and I was very, very pleased with Trustee Flores's speech to the audience. He represented VCUSD well and our community quite well. I was very impressed on his way of saying, well, this is what we expect of you now that you're in the office, with was unapologetic and to the point. Thank you very much for that. So that was a wonderful event. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Vice President?
Attended the Vallejo High versus Jesse Bethel basketball game yesterday. Great game. It was nice to actually see Hazel Wilson in her small little corner. It's like she has her own VIP section. It's pretty cool. But I think it was a very well, cross-town rivalry. You can see the community really coming together. Definitely a big shout out to site safety. They took care of that little scuffle outside fairly quickly and dispersed it right away. Love to see them in action. And again, thank you and I appreciate it. Other than that, everyone please stay safe. There's a lot of coughing and wash your hands. Shot any kind of vaccines, so we all can all come back to school. Thank you.
Thank you. And for mine, just learning with the students today is actually Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. He would have been 96 if he was alive today, on this 15th day of January, discussing and learning about him with my students. And then we'll have the holiday on Monday to honor him. I know all of our hearts, and it's been a nightmare watching the news, the poor people in Southern California, the devastation, losing everything. Hopefully the winds are getting under control, and hopefully the percentage of controlling the fires will start getting under control. I know here in Northern California, as we've watched in Santa Rosa, parts of it disappear, the town of Paradise disappear. We have known this devastation, and it can affect our own community. So the reality of this new norm, don't like it, but it's something we have to make sure we're prepared and how we can come together and help our fellow Californians. So hopefully, again, those will get under control quickly. The next item is a reminder to my fellow board members that on Monday, January 27th at 6 p.m. at the Vacaville City Unified School District, there will be the second part of the reading night with our own Heather Tapasio, and there'll be dinner provided. So I'll need to make sure that you let Rhonda know, please, by tomorrow or by Friday at the latest, about your attendance, because we are trying to secure the food, and Dr. Young and I are working hard for the presentation. The presentation is, again, as I said earlier, it's on reading. And the benchmarks, reading level, we talked about the right to read, the science of, anyways, it's just there's a panel, someone from each district in Solano County, and you hear about what's going on in each district and how they're tackling reading. And, I'm sorry? Monday, January 27th, 6 p.m. at Vacaville City Unified School District. Rhonda, I did send you the information, correct? Thank you. And with that, our next item, and student trustees, you're welcome to if you are interested. Community forum, not needed. Closed session, not needed. Announcements of upcoming meetings. Next Tuesday, the 21st, we have our town hall at Jesse Bethel at 6 p.m. Then the next day, Wednesday, the 22nd, we have our special governing board meeting from 5 to 7, right here in the governing one. Then February 5th and February 19th, regular governing board meetings. Our 2x2, I think we have a tentative date. Ms. Thomas, do you remember what tentative date we have? February 20th for the 2x2 Thursday? Okay, so that's our tentative at this time. We'll make sure that's put on as we get closer. Our city council had to designate which committees they are on and who would be on which committee. So more to come on that. Any future board agenda items? Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
I do want to mention for Trustee Flores, our website is almost ready to go live with information pertaining to immigrant students, immigrant families, with a lot of resources. And that will go live before next week.
All right, with that, we are adjourned at 7:57. Have a good evening, everyone.